You can't be afraid to go out and compete and do whatever it takes.
In terms of trailblazers, my mom's obviously one of them.
Us girls have been through it.
So crucial that women are just willing to support each other.
To understand women's experiences.
She's just kind of been the rock of our family.
We are tracking some clouds movement service for girls and women all over the world.
I will strive every day to be somebody that she would be proud of.
One of my favorite people, one of my heroes, and I know that a lot of young women feel the same way.
A library beyond the imagination. How Dolly's Imagination Library is bringing pages and dreams to life.
Defense, 1, 2, 3.
Defense.
Celebrating the most influential names in Lady Vol's history. A tribute to the one and only Pat Summit.
I get so excited when I meet young ladies who say, I want to be a meteorologist when I grow up. They don't say weather girl, they say meteorologist.
The first female chief meteorologist in Knoxville, also a Tennessee grad, Heather Haley's ride to success in the industry.
March marks the celebration of Women's History Month. From the rich history of sports here at UT, tied to a legacy of UT grads making a difference across the country. We've got a lot to cover for you today. Good morning and welcome to the Volunteer Channel's second live show, Trailblazers, celebrating women across campus. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kyla Berry.
And I'm Grayson Thatcher. We are live from the Scipps lab today at the College of Communication here at the University of Tennessee. And to begin, we need to take a walk through history. Nearly a century ago, the fight for a woman's right to vote found its final stance here in Tennessee.
And thanks to one letter, it's a story that started with a mother and a son who changed the history of women's rights forever.
You may pass it without giving it a second look.
Us girls have been through it.
But look closer.
It's not like I've suffered.
And you'll find history.
Been able to vote since I was 18.
Standing right in front of you. It's a mother and son duo that changed history.
It was Harry Byrne and his mother who switched sides and probably made Tennessee ratify the amendment.
UT historian expert Emma Schrader says the South was the last to vote to give women the right to vote.
All the ones who did not pass the 19th Amendment were in the South, essentially, and then by the summer of 1920, 35 states had passed it. We're waiting for one more.
Tennessee.
And everybody saw Tennessee as sort of the last final potential battleground and potential winning of the women's vote.
Harry Byrne was the youngest representative ever elected at the age of 22.
Harry Byrne was wearing a rose that indicated he was going to vote against suffrage.
The first vote in the House came to a tie. But then Henry received a note from his mother telling him not to forget to be a good boy.
He decided that he needed to vote for suffrage because his mother had asked him to vote for suffrage.
Giving women the right to vote, like Kimber North.
I consider it an honor and everything, and I'm grateful that I get that opportunity and hear my voice be heard.
All thanks to the son and mother duo. Knoxville, Kyla Berry, Fall News.
If you want to read more of the 7-page paper, the letter that Feb Byrne wrote to her son, it can be found linked on our Instagram page at TVC News Now.
One UT grad has paved the way for journalists across the country during a time of devastation this past January.
From helping cover the Gatlinburg wildfires in 2016, CBS Sacramento reporter Ashley Sharp has been reporting on the wildfires in Southern California in ways beyond her news station.
Our Alexa Durbin caught up with Ashley about how she's been using social media to engage with those who have been impacted by the fires.
Ashley tells me how, for her, it's not about getting followers or getting likes, but using her platform to connect with people on a personal level at a time of great loss.
Here's the front of your apartment complex.
One reporter from Tennessee is paving way for journalists across the country.
I think that in your reporting, you can look for ways to help people. And I think that I was finally able to kind of put that to practice in a way that really did make a difference, and I'm glad that it did.
In Southern California, CBS Sacramento reporter Ashley Sharp has found a new way of connecting to people while covering the devastating Los Angeles wildfires.
I was looking for a way to bring the biggest story in the world to people on social media.
After posting some behind-the-scenes footage of her reporting on TikTok, the reporter found herself with thousands of new followers, actively showing people the impacted areas near their home, answering questions, and expressing her genuine reaction to seeing the fire devastation.
I'm so sorry that we had to show you this, and I hope you're okay.
It was very real and raw, not edited, not, it was just in the moment. And I think that's what made people resonate with that reporting, is just because maybe it made them feel like they were there.
Graduating from the University of Tennessee in 2018, Sharp began her journalism career under the guidance of retired CCI professor Dr. Swan.
Her personality, the ability to relate to people, was apparent even then.
Now, after engaging with thousands on TikTok, she has taken her journey to CBS Mornings and People magazine, spreading her story of the power of journalism.
There's such truth in what we do, and it's so needed. It's so important. And I think that there are moments like this that remind me, okay, don't give up, right? Don't ever stop doing it, because people need this, and people respond really well to journalism done in the right way.
Her purpose is clearer and her passion is stronger than ever.
I would have never thought as a senior in college that I would be sitting here right now.
Inspiring journalists to remember why they do what they do. In Knoxville, Alexa Durbin, TVC News. After making the rounds on national media recognizing her work and engagement with those who have lost so much, Ashley continues to use her social media platform to share her stories and deliver news in a personalized way. You too can keep up with what Ashley is doing at her news station by following her on social media at Ashley on TV.
Wow, such a great story. I'm excited to see what she does next in her career. Thank you, Alexa. Reading unlocks a world of possibilities, and one program that was started by an East Tennessee native has been transforming lives of children for 30 years.
Dolly Parton's Imagination Library has now inspired the teachers of the next generation to inspire not only children, but young adults. The Imagination Library is a book gifting program that mails free books to children no matter their family's income. Kay Hurst, the program manager of the Knox County branch, shares the initial inspiration.
Literacy was a really big passion for Dolly because her father couldn't read. And she had always said that he was like the smartest person she'd ever known, but she knew that held him back from achieving everything he wanted to be.
It all began with a trailblazer for literacy in her East Tennessee community and beyond, the book lady herself, Miss Dolly Parton. Since Dolly launched the program in 1995, over 270 million books and counting have been sent out.
Having access to books makes a huge difference in the literacy rate for students entering school.
Taylor Garrett, a proud participant from the early days of the program, shares her experiences.
My favorite part about it was just getting a new book every month and having that option to reread stories at bedtime or to get a new story, and it was always diverse copies of things.
Imagination Library members receive one book every month free of cost from birth to age 5.
One of my favorite books that I got was about a school resource officer and his dog, and it was called Officer Buckle and Gloria. And I still remember almost every word to the first 2 pages of that book.
And there's a lot of thought put into every book sent out.
It's to teach empathy. It's to teach language skills. It's to teach basic information like letters and numbers and colors.
And that teaching is done by the variety of books the children are exposed to.
And then it also gives them the opportunity to learn about things that excite them. So maybe it's dinosaurs, maybe it's space, maybe it's, trains. And so, one book might really hit a note with them, one book might not, but that gives the child the chance to start learning what excites them.
So it was stuff that my mom didn't necessarily know to buy. So to have that at our doorstep was really awesome.
Now, Garrett is using the lessons from her childhood to make an impact on higher education, as she finishes her master's degree to become a certified English teacher for grades K through 12. Using the books from her childhood to make an impact in high school classrooms.
I'm seeing that there are more and more places, even at the high school level, where you can go back in and you can implement children's literature and teach basic concepts.
From mailbox to classroom, the Imagination Library is mailing 2 million books to children every month, inspiring a love of reading with every page. In Knoxville, Grayson Thatcher, Vol News. The Imagination Library now sends books to 67 countries, and before Dolly's dad passed away, he told her that out of everything in her career, the Imagination Library is the most important thing she's ever done.
If you live in Knoxville, the Knoxville area, and watch WVLT, chances are you've seen Chief Meteorologist Heather Haley.
And our Chief Weather Specialist, Lauren Zering, sat down with her recently to learn more about her journey.
It was so incredible to talk to Heather. She was such an inspiration to me personally. We had so much fun. We talked about her career and how she has trailblazed the way in the meteorology industry. She's incredible. She's breaking the Weather Girl standard. Take a look.
I get so excited when I meet young ladies who say, I want to be a meteorologist when I grow up. They don't say weather girl, right? They say meteorologist. Good morning. 10:34 now, and we are tracking some clouds moving across the state.
Heather Haley is the first female chief meteorologist in East Tennessee.
I would say what's hard about it is we're still trying to prove ourselves in terms of take me seriously. There's a lot of, still weather girl references, and they think that we don't actually have a meteorology degree. And so trying to prove that constantly can be the hard part, but challenge accepted.
After graduating from UT with a degree in journalism, Heather went on to work as an anchor and reporter in Hazard, Kentucky. During her time there, she realized that meteorology was her strong suit.
And then I was actually encouraged by a news director to pursue weather. That's when I realized I could go back to school and get a second degree online in meteorology. And so it became kind of a newfound passion. I always loved weather and math and science, but didn't realize that was an opportunity that was available.
For her, weather is always the most important story.
Any news manager will tell you weather is the most important part of the newscast. It's the one story that affects every viewer.
She takes her job very seriously, especially when it comes to keeping the Knoxville area safe.
The super tornado outbreak of 2011. I was on air for 8 hours straight, literally no break, because it was one tornado warning after another, all day long.
Heather's outstanding work in the broadcast meteorology industry and the love she has for her viewers proves that she is truly a trailblazer.
It really is almost a partnership between you and viewers. So that relationship that you build becomes so important that they know they can depend on you, and then you kind of have that feedback that I'm doing a good job. They appreciate my hard work.
Like I said, Heather is the first female chief meteorologist in East Tennessee. When we spoke, Heather told me that it truly brings her so much joy to see young women pursue careers in meteorology. She continues to break the weather girl stereotype, and the Knoxville area is very lucky to have her. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lauren. I've watched her since I was a little girl, and she's most certainly a trailblazer.
And then got to the end of 4 years and kind of thought, okay, what's the next best thing I can do?
She eventually moved to Boston and did consulting until she found something she was more passionate about.
I went to grad school at Northwestern in Chicago, and when I was done, I applied for jobs all over the country, and the job at UT was the one that ended up making the most sense.
However, after being a professor with the Haslam College for 16 years, her life was about to change with just one phone call.
Do you want to come work in the White House? This is like March of 2017.
Her time in the White House also pushed her farther than her previous jobs.
The White House was harder than that. It's just really unpredictable. So you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or really even in the next 30 minutes.
The hardest transition, though, was coming back to the university as a professor.
I felt like really making a difference for the country, and then to come back to UT into a job that I loved, but I just felt like I wasn't having enough of an impact.
Her solution came with just a single call for help, and Chancellor Plowman answered.
How about Baker Center? And then, of course, about a year and a half later, we converted what was the center into a school.
Dean Winemaker also got to share her advice to younger women who are looking at making their mark.
Don't make gender an issue.
We gotta really defend, and we gotta rebound. They're gonna start really pushing tempo. Slow them down.
Celebrating a legend.
Defense, 1, 2, 3.
Defense. In terms of trailblazers, my mom's obviously one of them.
We talked to Pat Summit's son, Tyler, about how her legacy is still impacting women's basketball in Tennessee.
be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
At the University of Tennessee, we can't talk about trailblazing women without talking about the Lady Vols.
Everywhere you look, that signature blue is lighting the way and breaking records. Our very own Alexi Cowan joins us now to break down that history. Alexi?
Thanks, guys. So happy to be here with you today. Ever since Title IX passed in 1972, making it illegal to discriminate in school activities based on sex, the University of Tennessee has created a name for itself in women's sports. But possibly the biggest name in Lady Vol history is splashed across Thompson Bowling, a tribute to the one and only Pat Summitt.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Not only the home of the Volunteers, but of the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Many legends are featured in these four walls, but one trailblazer is the reason this building stands tall in Knoxville. Mrs. Pat Head Summitt.
If a teammate gets confused and something's called, then y'all just commit to it. Just trusting each other during the series.
Arguably known as the face of women's college basketball, she reigned supreme on Rocky Top as Tennessee's women's basketball coach for 38 years.
This is a chance of a lifetime. You can't be afraid to go out and compete and do whatever it takes.
Summitt's accolades line the shelves of the Hall of Fame, and for good reason. She led the Lady Vols to 8 national championships, 18 Final Fours, and 32 combined SEC titles. She is also the reason that Tennessee holds the record for most wins in NCAA women's basketball.
We got to really defend, and we got to rebound. They're going to start really pushing tempo. Slow them down.
Not only was she a trailblazer for women's basketball, but for courage and strength. Summitt was diagnosed with early onset dementia in 2011 at 59 years old, but she carried on with her girls to finish out one last year.
I've been honest and I've shared my health concerns with you, and now we'll move forward to the business at hand, coaching a great group of Lady Vols.
The Tennessee community rallied behind her with tributes, including the We Back Pat campaign that you still see today. Stacks of awards were presented to Summitt, including a Presidential Medal of Freedom, Coach of the Year, Woman of the Year, Courage Awards, and even an NCAA award named in her honor. The legacy she left on this campus is felt in every way, through the Summitt blue color, spots on campus, and even through the reignited spirit brought through Kim Caldwell.
I will never be Pat Summitt. Nobody can. But I will strive every day to be somebody that she would be proud of.
The dictionary definition of a strong woman, a true volunteer, and a true trailblazer. Thank you, Pat Summitt.
What an honor to carry on the legacy of Pat Summitt and her story. There are no perfect words to perfectly describe the coach and the amazing woman that Pat was, but no better person to honor her than her son, Tyler. We spoke to him about what made his mom so special.
If you're going to be a trailblazer, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be so open to change with a growth mindset that you almost see change as the one constant thing. My mom was so good at change. In terms of trailblazers, my mom's obviously one of them.
That summit will forever leave a mark on those on the University of Tennessee, past, present, and future. In fact, right now, there is a push by former Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam, Peyton Manning, and Lady Vol legend Candace Parker to bring a WNBA team to Nashville called the Summit in honor of the historic coach. We'll continue to bring you updates as we follow this story.
Be, like a successful person for him. I want to be a good mom for him.
How a mom is balancing school and life here on campus.
And we take a look at a bar named after one of our Trailblazers' strongest supporters.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again, then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
The University of Tennessee is on the rise, lighting the way in everything we do, from theater to supply chain management to advanced materials, creating leaders in the field, on the field, and in every field. The best way to rise is to lift others up and reach for the summit together. It takes each one of us giving our all. It takes a volunteer.
Sometimes trailblazers exist without us noticing, sitting next to us in class.
A freshman at the University of Tennessee is balancing the demands of being a young mom while also handling the responsibilities of being a full-time college student.
Our Maddie Romack sat down with her to learn more about her journey.
Yes, Grayson, after seeing a glimpse of Savannah's life on TikTok, I decided to reach out to her. Women's History Month is about honoring all women, even those who might be sitting next to you in class. After hearing Savannah's story, I was in awe, and I think you will be too. Here's her story.
Here, buddy. Savannah Cody is a freshman at the University of Tennessee, but her life does not stop there. She is also a TikTok influencer, intern, recently engaged, and a devoted mom to her son, Koa.
It's definitely not easy, taking, 16 hours of school and having a job and having a baby.
Savannah's first major breakthrough on TikTok came from a gender reveal video receiving 7 million views.
Probably 60 to 70% of that video was hate, because obviously I was 18 years old. We looked really young in the video.
Despite backlash, she continued her passion for social media.
I would grow up making YouTube videos on my mom's phone.
As Savannah's online presence grew, so did her life roles as a college student and a young mom.
My biggest struggle being a mom is definitely just the stage of life I'm in.
Her original plan for her college experience was like any other.
I was gonna room with my best friend, and I was gonna rush and live in the dorm. I was so excited to do all of that and do all those things with my friends.
Though her life plan changed, Savannah's goals have only strengthened, fueled by her role as a mom.
Be, a successful person for him. I want to be a good mom for him. I want to be able to, provide for him.
Her family's support has been essential.
The real reason I feel like I get through it is because I have so much support and I have so much help.
Jackie Cody, Savannah's mom, reflects on her daughter's resilience.
Seeing how she has overcome adversity, especially this past year, and she's not let it derail her from where she wants to get at the end of the day.
With a new perspective as a parent, Savannah shares who keeps her motivated.
My biggest motivator is Koa.
Savannah is not just managing her multiple roles, she's thriving in them, showing that age does not define a woman's capacity to achieve great things. In Knoxville, for Vol News, I'm Maddie Romack.
This Women's History Month, we honor not only the women who have made history, but also those who make daily sacrifices to build a better future for the next generation.
Wow, what a story. Thank you, Maddie. Being a trailblazer sometimes means achieving your goals with the ones you love the most by your side.
Chasing your dreams requires a strong support system, and our Aubrey Curran met with a bar owner who owes the name of her place to one of her biggest supporters.
Monkey's Bar was opened by UT alum Ellie Nelson, but her journey to getting there wasn't easy. According to her, it took all the helping hands she could get and one furry little friend to achieve this.
Built with love?
Labor of love aspect, you can kind of
the space carries that feeling.
Ran with love.
It's a place that is safe for anyone. I wouldn't feel that way if it wasn't built that way, and if my staff didn't carry it that way either.
Ellie's dream of owning a bar became a reality with the help of her closest friends and family.
They were the ones that were helping me change light fixtures. They were the ones helping me make my liquor shelf.
Well, make that friends and family and her best bud.
Oh, he is a human.
Monkey.
I got Monkey when I was bartending at Central Depot, which was here before, the business that was here before.
Who she adopted at just 8 weeks old while still being a busy bartender, leaving her with only one option.
I was like, well, I'll just bring Monkey with me to work.
Making her work Monkey's second home.
I've known him since he was a little pup, since like the bar before this one, and I don't know, it's just cool seeing him grow, and you know, he's such like a friendly, you know, dog.
When Ellie finally did open her new bar, she wanted the environment to feel friendly, which is why the name couldn't be more obvious.
Was, in fact, the inspiration for naming this business Monkey's Bar.
Being a trailblazer doesn't mean you have to do it all alone.
It does still feel surreal in a lot of ways, and I mean, it's very humbling to get to see a bunch of people in this place that, like, it has become meaningful to other people.
SaMetimes you need a little help, or in Ellie's case, your best friend by your side. In Knoxville, I'm Aubrey Curran, Vol News.
To learn more about Monkey's Bar or their hours, you can follow them on Instagram at Monkey's Bar Knox, and be sure to look out for Monkey if you go.
A clothing brand that goes beyond clothes. That was the goal for UT alumni Mary-Kayton Brakefield.
Our Lily Van Alsburg sat down with her to learn more about her story.
Lily, can you tell us more about Mary-Kayton's journey in creating Brakefields?
A clothing shop built on the foundation of inclusivity and functionality for all women. Mary-Kayton's vision for her business, Brakefields, went beyond just clothing. It was about helping women feel seen and comfortable in their clothes.
Know that you can make the career that you want and the life that you want, and just go into everything with confidence.
Mary-Kayton Brakefield is more than a UT graduate and the owner of the business Brakefields. She's a visionary and creative force for women everywhere.
I come from a family of very entrepreneurial parents, and so it was never really out of the realm of possibility for me to dream about starting my own company one day.
While at Tennessee, she swam on UT Swim and Dive and also battled, and still battles, a genetic condition that affects her mobility, which led her to recognize the importance of inclusivity and functionality in her clothing.
And I feel like that time at Tennessee opened my eyes to the need for functional clothing.
Her former retail professor and mentor at UT, Dr. Michelle Childs, describes Brakefield as an entrepreneur who wants to make a difference.
He not only is going to make a difference within the retail industry, but also making a difference in people's everyday lives and experiences.
Brakefield explains the most rewarding part of her experience is hearing customer testimonials about the impact her clothing has.
We get to hear about people specifically choosing to wear Brakefields for the really high moments in their life. We also get to hear about these being great clothes for when life is really hard and you have to still get dressed, and these are things that you can pull on and feel comfortable in.
Her time as a swimmer at Tennessee gave her space to grow and learn about important life lessons.
I think also something that was really impactful about my time as an athlete at Tennessee was just instilling the work ethic that is so necessary to successfully running a company.
The women around her contributed to her success by uplifting and supporting her dream.
I think it's so crucial that women are just willing to support each other in their dreams, and I think that it really does result in everyone seeing success.
From a dream to her reality, Brakefields is changing the way clothing impacts personal lives. On UT campus, Lily Van Alsburg, Vol News. To discover the item that suits you best, visit Brakefields' web store at shopbrakefields.com.
Thanks, Lily.
We spoke with one of the most influential Lady Vols in the water.
Being a Lady Vol means excellence.
And a sit down with Karen Weekly about how she developed one of the most competitive teams in the nation.
If I could be you,
You could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again, then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
The University of Tennessee is on the rise, lighting the way in everything we do, from theater to supply chain management to advanced materials, creating leaders in the field, on the field, and in every field. The best way to rise is to lift others up and reach for the summit together. It takes each one of us giving our all. It takes a volunteer.
Can't be afraid to go out and compete and do whatever it takes.
In terms of trailblazers, my mom's obviously one of them.
Us girls have been through it.
So crucial that women are just willing to support each other.
To understand women's experiences.
She's just kind of been the rock of our family.
We are tracking some clouds moving. Service for girls and women all over the world.
I will strive every day to be somebody that she would be proud of.
I never think about accomplishments on the field because that's really not what it's about. It's about the people you get to interact with every day and the young women that you hopefully get to have an impact on.
We sat down with softball star coach Karen Weekly about what it means to lead such a historic program.
And a glimpse into sorority life, how the Panhellenic president supports her community.
And I just hope to continue to have dedicated members that are excited to bring new perspectives and also feeling like this is a space that they can do that.
And we take a look at UT's very own student feminist magazine, Ablaze.
Welcome back to the Volunteer Channel's second live special, Trailblazers. Celebrating women across campus, we are live from the Scipps Lab today at the College of Communication here in the University of Tennessee. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grayson Thatcher.
And I'm Kyla Berry. One of the most important parts of women's history here at UT is the iconic Lady Vols brand. Our Alexi Cowan joins us again to take a deeper look at the Lady Vols. Alexi.
Hey, thanks guys. Before we get into some more Lady Vol sports legends, I wanted to highlight a very special professor that we have on site today, Dr. Shannon Scoville. I've had Dr. Scoville in many classes here at UT, and she is the biggest cheerleader, supporter, and encourager for journalism students. Dr. Scoville, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
I'm so happy to have you. Don't want to spoil it, but you are basically my favorite professor. But you have had a tough time, being a female journalist in a male-dominated field, and especially this woman covers wrestling. So it is not easy. You're in a completely male-dominated field. How have you been able to deal with that?
It's a great question, and it definitely has had its challenges. There were periods early in my career, some of my first NCAA championships, where it did feel isolating to be one of the only women on press row. But one of the things that has been so empowering and exciting is to see so many more women covering the sport. In fact, next week I'll be going to NCAA's in Philadelphia, and we're going to have a women in wrestling dinner the night before the tournament. And the last time I went to this dinner, there were 10, 15 people, and I expect that number to perhaps double. It's been so exciting to see more women covering the sport.
We know you've covered wrestling and tons of sports for a long time in writing. How do you think the coverage has changed from when you first began to now?
It's been really exciting to see the investment in covering women's sports. I think sports media companies are starting to realize that it's good business to cover women's sports, to shine a spotlight on these incredible athletes and the great things that they're doing on and off the court and on and off the field and in and out of the pool. There's so many great stories of women's sports, and we're starting to see that, and I think it's leading to a great trend in increased coverage.
So how do you see women's sports, the popularity of it and coverage in general changing in the future as us college students grow up and start covering it?
Another excellent question. One of the things that I think has really helped improve coverage of women's sports is the NCAA's name, image, and likeness policy change. That's where my research area of interest centers around. And we've seen that as women athletes have grown their own profiles, they've drawn a lot of eyeballs to their events. We've seen ESPN break records in its coverage of women's basketball, women's softball. We saw Nebraska sell out Memorial Stadium for women's volleyball. We're seeing people flock to women athletes like they never have before. They have more access to these athletes' stories, to their personalities, and to their voices. And it's been great for sports. It's been great for society.
All of our women's programs have been breaking a lot of records too recently. But, we've asked all the women that we've, interviewed throughout this process, who is the most influential woman in your life?
I love this question, and I know it's cliche to say, but the answer definitely has to be my mom. My mom was a student athlete at the University of Maryland. She was on the gymnastics team. She's actually on her way to an alumni gymnastics meet right now to cheer on the Terps. And so I always grew up believing that that was something that I could do. She was also a journalism major, and so I believed there was a space for me in sports and in media. And it actually wasn't until I was in college that I started to realize just how underrepresented women were in those spaces. I always had a model leading the way for me in my career and in my interest in sports. And now my mom is a leader in business, and she's inspiring me in how I can be a better leader. So I definitely look to her in sports, in media, and in leadership.
And last question, who is your favorite student?
I can't answer that, but I loved having you in class, and you've done some amazing reporting, and it's really an honor to be here today with you for this live show. You all do incredible things, and really, really proud and excited to watch you do what you do.
Well, thank you for all the support that you've brought us. She is our biggest fan, and I think she always will be. Thank you so much for the impact you've made on me and journalism students all across campus. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Now, Professor Scoville was a swim star herself, so she knows all about the competitiveness in the pool. But one other woman who knows the water is UT swimmer Camille Spink. Our Luke Lamory and Sophie Starkey got to talk with her before a record-breaking appearance at the SECs.
Thanks, guys. We're here at Allen Jones Intercollegiate Aquatic Center, home of Tennessee Swim and Dive, and both this men's and women's team have had very impressive performances so far this season. The men's team currently ranking 6th nationally, and the women are 4th according to CSCAA.
Yeah, they've been dominant as of recent, especially at SECs down in Athens, Georgia.
And we wanted to highlight a very important woman to this team, that being swimmer Camille Spink.
Yeah, Sophie, I had the opportunity to sit down with her before she went to SECs to discuss her roots, her life, and her goals in collegiate swimming.
I think I had a lot of involvement, with the people in my community and my family. I mean, I started out swimming at the age of 7 with my summer swim team in my neighborhood.
Spink grew up in the small town life in Prince William County. Located in Northern Virginia, her small town is called Haymarket. With a 2020 census population of 1,500, the town has a total area of 0.6 square miles.
I started out at a club swim team that only practiced 3 days a week, and my coach on that team was basically like, Camille, you're doing too good, you need to go and swim more. So then I started at Nation's Capital, and I really began to thrive there with my coaches, swimming a lot more and actually competing against people.
However, Spink didn't rise in the ranks herself until she swam at Olympic trials in 2020 when she was just 16 years old.
Since I went to Wave 1 and Wave 2 of the 2021 Olympic trials, I was really scouted by a lot of colleges there.
She chose Tennessee out of dozens of schools, and she excelled her freshman year, especially at SECs. She took home 7 medals, one of them a gold.
I had so much fun last year. It was probably my favorite meet that I've ever swam at in my whole entire life.
As she heads to SECs with a goal in mind, Spink tries to knock down any of the weight on her shoulders and focus on herself.
When I think about swimming, some people tend to believe that once you hit the age of 20, you're kind of old. But I don't believe that I'm getting that old, and I think that I have so many more years left to give in the sport. I don't feel pressure to perform anything at all.
Now, I must say, Sophie, she killed it at SECs, which just goes to show how mentally focused she was. She's a really confident swimmer in her abilities.
Absolutely. She took home 7 combined medals, 5 gold, 2 silver, so I think it's safe to say that she topped last year's performance.
Absolutely, Sophie. She also took home the co-commissioner's trophy for taking gold in the 50, the 100, and the 200. Truly impressive.
Very outstanding performance.
Well, it was great to sit down and get to know the person behind the impressive swimming.
We wish the best of luck to Camille and the rest of the team as they head to the NCAA championships in a few days.
Thanks, guys. Back to you in the studio.
Camille Spink sure is a force. And, you know, I heard that Luke Lamory is actually a swimmer too. But anyways, I want to take the time to highlight another force on our campus, star softball pitcher Carlin Pickens. Talk about force. She just tied the record for fastest women's pitch ever thrown at 77 miles per hour as a junior. And who did she tie with? Oh, Lady Vol legend Monica Abbott. When Luke Lamory sat down with her, she mentioned that she was shooting to hit 80 miles an hour, and I think she can do it. But she also talked about another iconic Lady Vol with quite a bit of influence on the program, Tennessee head softball coach Karen Weekly. Weekly is an amazing coach. Weekly has been head of the softball program since 2002, 19 years as head coaches with her husband, and now beginning her 4th year by herself in the position. She has led the team to the postseason every year since 2004 and taken them to the College World Series 8 times. It would be impossible to tell the story of Lady Vol sports without her, so our Zach Pelfrey had the chance to sit down with Coach Weekly and take a look into this program that she built.
So Coach Weekly, thank you so much for joining us today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know SEC play just started, but we thank you so much for taking the time with us today. Coach, what is your favorite part about being a coach?
My favorite part is really just these players, you know, getting to know them. I feel like I never get old because every day I'm surrounded by 18 to 22-year-olds. And so they kind of keep you current and keep you young. But another one of my favorite parts is when the alumni come back.
Yeah, well, going back to the players, I mean, you coach some special players, especially the 2 over my left shoulder, Monica Abbott and Sarah Feckety. I mean, what does having those jerseys out in left field represent to your team?
You know, I love when they can come back and see those. And I know we have a few more that we need to get up there. But when you look at that, you really think about the history of this program. And, you know, they blaze the trail.
Do you ever just slow down and realize what you guys have built here?
When I do stop and think about that, I never think about accomplishments on the field because that's really not what it's about. It's about the people you get to interact with every day and the young women that you hopefully get to have an impact on.
Coach, what does being a Lady Vol mean to you?
Being a Lady Vol means excellence. It means everything you do, you are striving to be the best, most competitive version of yourself, whether it's in the classroom, as a leader on our campus, in the community, on the softball field, as a daughter, as a sister, as a significant other, as a Lady Vol, you're held to a standard of excellence and you're a model for that.
In Knoxville, Zach Pelfrey, Vol News.
Karen Weekly and this softball team is on the rise. They've got some crazy talent all around the diamond this year, especially in some freshman pitchers. Look out for them. But be sure to catch them this weekend in their series against the Yukon Huskies. But that's all from my side of the field today. Thanks for hanging out with me and diving into some past and present legends of the Lady Vol legacy.
It's a barista with a much bigger story. We tell the story of one coffee maker.
Man, I couldn't do what I do without her.
We spoke to students across campus about the most influential women in their lives.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
The University of Tennessee is on the rise, lighting the way in everything we do, from theater to supply chain management to advanced materials, creating leaders in the field, on the field, and in every field. The best way to rise is to lift others up and reach for the summit together. It takes each one of us giving our all. It takes a volunteer.
Just 15 minutes outside of campus is not your ordinary coffee shop. It's one made for those in recovery.
I got to sit down with one of the first soberistas at Gateway Coffee, and she tells me her journey that nearly started a year later.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to Gateway Coffee.
Metro Drug Coalition, there's a coffee shop operated by soberistas like Christy Fithen.
And I may have to put you some more ice in there.
The coffee maker got into the role when she knew she needed help.
I came across a friend that had came through the Gateway, and he inspired me to come in and work on getting help in recovery.
Each order she takes,
can I help you?
She's taking the inspiration from her friend and serving it to others.
I can be inspirational to others and help them lead them to the right direction, whether it be recovery from homelessness, addiction.
She has been clean for 13 months. Now she's on the road to recovery.
I was homeless for 8 years, right here on the streets of Knoxville. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
She's writing her new story.
Had been talking about opening a coffee shop. And before I was really dedicated to staying clean, I wanted to be in the coffee shop.
Getting help from people like Ann Young.
Be the person that they're supposed to be, you know, before addiction got a grip.
Ann says being a soberista has allowed Christy to find her true self.
What a wonderful woman she has become, right? And that was always there, but it was just covered up with addiction.
For Christy, each cup of coffee she serves,
there you go, feedback
means more than just a coffee.
It inspires me to be able to be an inspiration and let them see that there is hope. Absolutely. Are you going to hang around? Metro Drug Coalition tells us that every dollar spent at the Gateway Coffee Shop supports the Recovery Center.
Leaders shine throughout our university, but one woman in particular provides a whole community with support.
Callie Atchison is here to tell us more.
As a Panhellenic woman, I get to see the amazing work that our entire community does every single day. With over 5,000 women across 14 different chapters, Lydia leads us all courageously and confidently. I was grateful to be able to sit down with her and other chapter presidents to learn more.
The Panhellenic community is a place that fosters leadership and women empowerment, and at the center of it all is the Panhellenic president, Lydia Rothrock. Her role is to support each chapter, specifically working with presidents and Panhellenic delegates. Hannah Haston, president of Kappa Delta, gets to work hands-on with Lydia day in and day out.
She makes sure that everyone's all on the same page and also just offers support.
Support in every aspect.
I can focus primarily on the relationships and the situations happening inside of these walls because I know she's got my back in the bigger rooms.
Lydia's impact has gone far beyond the Panhellenic community.
The most rewarding thing by far would be getting to go on a trek to Senegal this past May with a group of 12 other Panhellenic women.
Lydia's work fundraised enough to fully support this service mission, laying the foundations for new schools in Africa.
Our impact goes beyond just what happens in this community. It means service for our campus community, service for Knoxville, but also service for girls and women all over the world.
Lydia's leadership style has inspired many throughout the community, including Emmy Edwards, president of Alpha Chi Omega.
Seeing Lydia in this role has just shown me that all kinds of different personality types can do leadership. You don't have to be or fit a certain mold to be a person in that kind of job.
The Panhellenic community is fortunate to have Lydia in this capacity.
She just embodies what it means to be a selfless leader and to selflessly serve not just your community, but the people and the lives around you.
In Knoxville, Kylie Atchison, Vol News.
We are so thankful for all the work Lydia does for us in this community. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kylie. Within Greek life, hazing is an ongoing issue all around the nation, but on the University of Tennessee's campus, there is a trailblazer making change in each and every student.
Our very own Caitlin Kirkpatrick brings us the story.
The Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life is home to Haley Flavin, the Director of Harm and Risk Reduction. She speaks to us about how hazing is being prevented on UT's campus. There are multiple hazing prevention programs at the university. It all started with the We're Committed campaign.
So in our programs that we have at OSFL, it's centered around prevention work, and really that's framed around the We're Committed campaign.
Haley also works with an organization called Scipps Society, which is the peer leadership health and safety organization on campus.
Their goal is really to get out there, both in the campus and Greek community, to help elevate prevention work with their peers.
Former leader in the Panhellenic community, Lily Michaela, tells us how she has heard amazing things about what the organization does.
A couple of our members involved in Scipps Society, and I've heard awesome things about it. They say that it's awesome to see, again, the impact that they can have on the Panhellenic and Greek community, and just the entire UT community here by learning about health and safety and about the impacts that they can make.
The organization Scipps Society teaches students ways to identify hazing. Signs of hazing can range from anything from physical to mental attributes.
I think one thing in particular that we learn a lot about is just noticing if you see people kind of starting to take a step back from their friendships or their academics.
Haley Flavin works on the campus to raise awareness for signs of hazing and what students should look out for.
In reality, hazing can be anything from sleep deprivation, pointless activities. It can be things like silly tasks, having to wear something, things that don't connect back to the values of an organization or a purpose of an organization.
Through her hazing prevention work, Haley has been able to help the university become more safe and welcoming.
So ultimately, it takes everybody to prevent hazing on a campus, and hopefully students can be part of that as well.
On UT's campus with Vol News, I'm Caitlin Kirkpatrick.
If you want to learn more about hazing prevention efforts or how to get involved, you can visit the website hazingprevention.utk.edu.
The Media Center has its own group of trailblazers, the team behind UT's feminist magazine known as Ablaze.
You might have seen these magazines across campus. Ablaze is a student-run magazine that focuses on women's topics and feminist issues. The current editor-in-chief, Madeline Stone, spoke on what the team means to her.
I just hope to continue to have dedicated members that are excited to bring new perspectives and also feeling like this is a space that they can do that.
Ablaze's latest issue released this semester and is themed around Y2K. You can find a copy on stands across campus or online at ablazeutk.com.
She's just kind of been the rock of our family, and she's always supported me growing up.
Who's the most influential woman in your life? Our Caleb Colvin was across campus asking students.
To understand women's experiences.
And a peek inside the Women and Gender Studies major here at UT.
If I could be you, you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here at the University of Tennessee, one interesting field of study is the major or minor of women's and gender studies.
Our Maggie Schwerking got the chance to speak to an assistant professor about some of the classes they offer.
Yeah, Grayson, I had the opportunity to speak to Tamar Sharinian, who is a cultural anthropologist. She told me how there is so much more to women and gender that is shown to the bare eye. Tamar teaches a variety of classes, some of that can focus on some pretty tough topics. These include queer and gender ideology, anthropology of genocide, feminist anthropology, and ethnographies of trauma.
Or to understand women's experiences, to just understand women from that gendered point of view. But we can't actually understand gender or women without understanding all of the other things that shape experience and that shape the political and economic world.
She will be teaching a new class this fall, focusing on Eastern and Central Europe, a place that once experienced socialism ending in 1991. Tamar Sharinian also wrote a book about her experiences called Survival of a Perverse Nation that focuses on the morality of queer possibility. She also is in the process of 2 other books. You can find any classes in the Women and Gender Studies program by looking for the WGS code when registering.
Thanks, Maggie. For the last hour, we've been discussing trailblazers across campus, but we all have women in our lives who have impacted us in positive ways.
Our Caleb Colvin talks to students about the women that have shaped their volunteer spirits.
As you all know, it's a very important holiday, so I'm going around talking to students to see which women have inspired them. Who is an important woman in your life and why?
I'd probably have to say it's my sister. It's got to be my mom.
I would say my mom.
Definitely my mom.
My grandma.
By far my mom.
My mom, because she's always been there for me and she's always doing her best and working really hard, and so I aspire to be like her.
She's just kind of been the rock of our family and she's always supported me growing up, so I'd say her.
She supported me thick and thin, everything. Man, I couldn't do what I do without her.
She took me to all my sporting events growing up. She's always been there for me. I know if I called her, she'd be here on the dime, no doubt at all.
What's your favorite thing about the women in your life?
They're all very kind to me. If I'm struggling, I know I can go to them for help.
They always supported me when it came to life-changing decisions.
My 3 other siblings are all girls, so I feel like I've been able to bond with them.
I mean, they're really just great friends, honestly. I gotta say, it's strength.
The women in my life always show resilience and are always not letting anyone get them down and always showing as much positivity as possible.
I feel like all the women in my life are pretty supportive of me and all want the best for me.
I just love them. I think they're amazing.
What do you think men can do to support women better?
I think men could maybe just listen better sometimes.
I think just checking on them, making sure they're always all right too. I think something that's really important.
Definitely taking their ideas more into consideration. I know there's a lot of guys who just don't listen to women or their ideas at all because they think they're just not smart for some reason, and I think that's honestly just kind of ludicrous.
Sometimes women can be placed underneath them, and it's important that they make room to share their voices as well.
Understanding that there are drastic differences between men and women, and that we just all have to be supportive of one another and understand each other, because you might not understand what that person's going through in their life at that moment.
Women are people at the end of the day. A lot of guys, like to laugh or make fun of women or just treat them differently. They're people. Just treat them regularly, and they appreciate that.
Well, that's all I have for you all. Make sure you tell the women that are important in your life how much they mean to you this International Women's Day. I like to end this video saying a shout out to all the women that mean a lot to me. So shout out to my mom, shout out to my granny, shout out to Mrs. Tarwater, shout out to Mrs. Williams, rest in peace to my granny Pat. Shout out to all the ladies in the church growing up that showed a lot of love to me. Shout out to all my teachers as well growing up, K through 12, and the professors. I love you all, and I want y'all to know that y'all are very appreciated and y'all mean a lot to me.
That is sadly all the time we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us for our second remote live show.
Before we go, though, we want to give her a huge shout out to our very own Brittany Tarwater. She does so much for us and is a trailblazer in her own right.
Thank you, Brittany, for everything.
We hope everyone has a great spring break. Happy Women's History Month and
Go
Vols!